Mr. Nick Yap from Metaverse.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming here. Well, it's going to be a hard act to follow, Jason Silver and the energetic Mr. Aragon. I'm going to give it a try and pump up the energy. Yeah, next please. So a little bit of introduction about myself. I'm Nick Yap. I'm originally from Singapore. I came to the Netherlands in '97. Dus ik spreek een beetje Nederlands, maar ik versta wel alles. Watch out, gossiping behind me. My LinkedIn is here if you want to follow. Otherwise, I have 25 years of audio and media domain expertise. About 5 years ago, I decided to focus that on AI, speech, and technology because, come on, audio, music, how many more Spotifys do we need? So what's next for the 25 years? You know, some people get a Harley Davidson. I decided to focus my career. So that was AI. And in 2017, I launched the world's first voice pocket translator. It did $1.8 million on Indiegogo and $20 million revenue in 18 months. Without investors, so that gave me a lot of freedom to try things. So the first thing I tried was in 2017-18, wow, what if we could put speakers and Alexa and Spotify all on Web3 blockchain, a world's first smart blockchain speaker. Cool idea, you know, re-engineer everything, distribute royalties to musicians, decentralize all your Alexa, everything, it will be private. Yeah, the way Web3 should be. Redo it. But too bad, 2018 crypto winter hit. So all the non-layer 1, layer 2 projects all had little chance. So I've decided to put that on the shelf. And also I knew that was too early. Can you imagine in 2017 trying to tell people, you could pay for your groceries with crypto? So, so perhaps it will come back in 2024, 2025 or so. So I took that, packaged it. The cool thing is I met my co-founder. We organized blockchain meetups all together. And when crypto winter hit, we said, we have to do something together. So we took the voice tech and put it in enterprise tech. And the same principles of being private, being able to customize your voices, all that. And we built up, for 3 years, we built out a lot of tech on working with T-Mobile, Verizon, Roche, identifying voices, de-identifying voices. And we finally figured out the scalable product is to make this voice automation very simple to use, that anybody could just drag and drop. Kind of like a voice Zapier. You can create anything you want to do with it. And we were going to launch it, and my co-founder Kevin and I looked at each other and I said, seriously, launch this to enterprise? That's another 7 years, 10 years of our life gone. Some of you maybe from enterprise, you know the pace, no? Not to joke about it, but the pace is there. So we discovered the opportunity in Metaverse around that same time. It was, I think, second half of the year last year. And it moved so much faster. And we came from blockchain anyway. So and crypto winter is over, and now it's spring. So we sprung into it. And best decision ever. It moves 10 times, 100x. And now we are doing Metaverse and NFT voice tech. That's a technology layer. I'm definitely a guy who's in technology so long that I believe in technology, but I also believe in adoption, application, not talking tech all the time. The tech is cool that it needs to be there, but it needs to be in a usable format. What does it mean to the people? What value does it bring? And today, that value, we decided the first chapter, there will be more chapters. The first chapter is about bringing life to metaverses, bringing life to NFTs. Then we start with empty metaverse. Some of you may have gone to, how many of you have gone to Decentraland, Sandbox, or any? So probably you went, sometimes you could have went alone or went with a friend or so. Have you had the same experience that I did? I went in there, wandered around, and then, shit, what do I do? Right, and then I leave. I might not come back ever again. No, so Sandbox is a little bit smarter. They make it into games. Only season open, close, open, close. Because if they have kept it going, they might have the same problem. And Sandbox gamified it by making it games, user-generated games. Whereas Decentraland is about, hey, letting people build those lands. You know? So two different methods, but still, we have an anti-metaverse to solve. Because nobody knows what Metaverse is for yet. Okay, ideally, it should be everything you are doing in web, you should be able to do in Metaverse at some point, but it's not yet there. And what is that? Yeah, so this is what Metaverse, pretty, very pretty. You have all kinds of visual designers. And the Metaverse is usually built by people from the gaming industry. Voice tech has not taken up in the gaming industry because voice tech matured in the last 1 to 2 years. Usually it takes a game studio about 12 to 24 months to develop a game. So voice tech has not entered games. We have spoken to a few game studios, they are big ones, and they do want to. If they start planning now, they will put voice in 2026 or so. It's like a movie production, right, for a game. It takes that long to produce a game. So you have all the visual designers creating lovely, beautiful experiences. Maybe you put in some music. But you go in there and that's empty. It's empty. You know? So what do we do? What if we could add intelligent characters to the Metaverse, you know? What do you mean by intelligent characters? How about when you go into Metaverse, somebody comes up to you, hey, have you connected your wallet? Or do you have a wallet? Or somebody who meets and explains, hey, do you know about that artist who's showing his new gallery, new works? There's somebody who actually comes and makes it easy for you to enter. Don't ask people to go out of the Metaverse to connect, jump through 8, 9, 10 steps to connect your MetaMask. Or in the meanwhile, I just want to come in the Metaverse. Why should I go start writing my 12-word seed phrase somewhere and keep it safely before I come back into the Metaverse again? There's a diagram that I can show you in future. There's about 10 steps to do that. And then if you want to buy an NFT is even worse. You do that and then you realize, shit, I didn't put enough for gas fee. Now I don't have gas. I have to do it all over again. And also, we need to make all this simple. It should be like, do you want to buy an NFT? And somebody, an assistant, you know, if you go to a shop and you want to buy a bag, you don't have to go call your bank. You don't have to say, hey, jump through 20. Imagine you have to fill up a form every time you want to buy something, and then you have to write down seed phrase. Before you can buy a bag, the bag is not going to sell. So that's what we do. And note, it's about intelligent and fun characters. Right? It doesn't have to appear as a shop assistant or so, or a meet and greet guy or girl. It could be a dinosaur, a pet dragon, a dog, your favorite dog, cat, Snoopy, if you can get the trademark licensing. Snoopy could say ooh, hello. So that's what we intend to do. You might ask, what's that got to do with voice? Without a voice, they are dumb. We're not in Charlie Chaplin world. That's what we do. That's where I emphasize, hey, we have the technology, but we have to package it in a way that is meaningful to people, and not just say, hey, it's a smart Alexa, and then what? What can you do with it? So these are the top 3 requested intelligent characters, the meet and greet. The meet and greet helps people to enjoy the first experience. Whether you are a technical person or you're a non-technical person, everybody would actually enjoy a smoother process for coming into a new metaverse, whether is it big or small, miniverse, universe, whatever verse. Petaverse, this morning I just heard about Petaverse. So you want to meet and greet. Again, it could be in any characters, and now the ability to create different kind of characters should be simple, and we shall talk about that later on. An event host will be like, hey, if you organize a corporate event, can you have somebody throw free gifts? Whew, t-shirts, t-shirt for you, t-shirt for you. Everybody loves that. Or could be somebody who explains what that gallery, the artist who puts up his works, he's not going to be there 24/7 to explain his works. So you're going to wonder, and you're still going to look at this, again, read a brochure, so web 2. Right. Usually you go into an event, there's nobody manning it. There's a floating eye, very 3D, floating information. You click on the floating information, a floating brochure pops up and you read it. Not immersive, not Web 3. Not yet. That's what. Yeah, shopping assistant. You just now we talked about it, right? So, shopping assistant actually these two needs to come first because if people don't stay, and they don't hang around, there's nobody to sell to. This is the biggest one where most metaverses want to, like make the shopping process easy. You can just buy things, but if you don't solve these two, there's nobody to sell things to. So these are the three biggest characters you will start finding in the, I would assume next second half of this year will be where you start seeing all this happening. Yeah, now next. So there's a topic that I always get asked, conversation. Is it like Alexa? Is it like Siri? Yes and no. Alexa and Siri came about for, conversations, right? So you can do a little conversation here. You can ask it to play a Spotify list. So it's a little bit about that. So that's the conversational AI part where you have a conversation about, some of you might have heard about virtual girlfriends, boyfriends that you can talk to. Has anybody tried download an app? Try.
I've had a conversation app when I was a teenager. I think it was AI. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's it has matured a little bit. Nowadays, the AI can actually pick up on your lingo and reflect that. So that's a conversation. But we don't expect a lot of that to happen because, who wants to go into the metaverse and have a 20-minute conversation with an AI? Not really, unless you are a big fan of Snoopy. Or perhaps the digital Jason Silver is there and you can have a 5-hour conversation with digital Jason Silver. And you can spawn many versions of Jason Silver to have conversations with many people. But anyway, so what is going to take off a lot more in the beginning is the microtask AI. Microtask in the technology world is AI that's trained to recognize what you want to achieve. I want to connect my wallet, I want to buy something, I want to find where is that artist, what is this about? It's microtask. And this is where AI can help us enjoy the experience much better by doing microtasks. And most of the important thing is when you consider that brand manager or that marketing manager doing an event, you do not want a free-form conversational AI that goes everywhere. You want to talk about the event. You don't want it ending the sun is beautiful, life is wonderful, beautiful, the existence of human is a question. You don't want it to go into free-form conversation. You want it to go, here's a task, I'm recognizing what you're saying, and I'm going to take you to that task. That's microtask AI. So the current challenges of Metaverse are named 3. Today we are here for State of the Metaverse. Everybody's building, but there's 3 big things that we talked about already a little bit on the first slide. Friction. Friction just means how do you get people on board? If the first experience is frustration. Either they don't have a good association with the Metaverse, your brand's Metaverse, or they actually leave and don't come back. So that's one. And we have a lot of requests can you just make it fun and can you just connect wallets? These are the little things of how to onboard somebody easily, smoothly, and enjoyable, pleasurable. Engagement was the empty metaverse we were talking about. So we came with the idea of, when we started this, we thought, hey, it should be helpful, event hosts, shopping assistants. But enough metaverses asked us, you know what? That's down the line. Could we just make fun characters that when you say happy birthday to your friend in the metaverse, maybe 10 Snoopies drop down and says, happy birthday to you. Fun characters. So that's the engagement. You want people to enjoy themselves. It's not necessarily about doing things. Because life starts when you have fun. And when you have fun, you stay longer. When a mall opens up, a physical mall opens up, you know what they do first? They bring in the clowns. They bring in the scavenger hunts. They give out stuff so the kids will hang there. The kids hang there, the parents are there. And also, you need to do the fun things and do the engagement. And the last thing is retention, which is most metaverse has not thought about it yet, but we have. Most metaverses are flying blind when because you do not have analytics. And nobody wants to install a Facebook pixel or a Google pixel in the metaverse. Is any Facebook people here? Hopefully not. This is streamed to Metaverse. Meta, hello. No Facebook pixels, no Google. I have not seen anybody install a Facebook pixel or Google pixel for a lot of reasons. That will take another 2-3 hours to talk about. But then you don't have analytics. You do not know what people are coming here for. You do not know where they go. You do not know this. But what if our voice characters actually, well, in your interaction, it actually knows what you're interested in? Did you come for the gallery? Did you come for freebies? Or were you just wandering around trying to know what's happening? Your first experience. So that could be solved with these characters. If you've ever seen a survey form in a Metaverse, nobody clicks it. We actually experimented with it once. We put the character, we watch people, whether anybody clicks on the survey form, and then later on, we put a character and ask like, hey, could you help? We need to know some feedback. And then you ask the questions in the conversation, and you get your feedback so much better, much higher conversion. So that was our little experiment. So with that kind of knowledge, you would be able to design your metaverse better. You will be able to design your marketing strategy better because you would have feedback and you will know how to bring them back again. If you lost them because of the wallet connection, at least you know the reason, you can bring them back. Because everybody who's done e-commerce would know recovering shopping cart abandonment is one of the best efficient method for increasing revenue. So that's kind of like that. Next, please. So what do? We have to talk a little about tech. Those who are tech will know a lot of companies. This is quite an array of speech technology, right? So the reason why we ended up with so much speech technology is because when we do enterprise projects, most of the time they come for speech recognition. That's our main one. And then they say like, hey, but we need our workplace assistant to also speak out. Okay, we will do it too. So then we've built a team around that. That's why we have ended up with a lot of modules where most speech tech companies will have specialized in one. They either do speech recognition, or they do text-to-speech, or they do voice cloning, or they do speaker identity. Very few companies you will find has a horizontal tech. And that was also one of the reasons when my co-founder and I looked at it, we thought, this is a space we can take, because even when this idea takes off and everybody comes after us, we have our moat. We have a horizontal layer when most companies do not. If it makes sense to you, cool. I'm not going to go dive into one by one. So then we come into what is the core difference between Web 3, Web 2, and Web 1. So these are the 3 essential differences that we are engineering in Web 3 that's not in Web 2 and Web 1. So you can see of Web 1 as like a read-only. You only read websites. You only browse websites. You couldn't interact. So Web 2, it's read and write. Now you can talk. You can share. There's a lot of sharing going along. TikTok, YouTube. And Web 3 is about read, write, and ownership. Because now you're not just sharing the content. At some point we discovered like, shit, those companies are making money out of my content that I shared and then gating me, making me pay to access those audience. People discovered it kind of like 10 years ago when Facebook suddenly decided not to do organic feeds for all those news media who brought the audience into the platform. So something was wrong, but it took a while to figure out what to do differently. So it's very hard to change Web 2 because it's already kind of like settled down, mature, oversaturated, illimited, and down to those few players. But in Web 3, everybody's building new again. And everybody who's building in Web 3, you see this, community, camaraderie, hey, let's build together. It's a very different feeling for Web 2. And this is our chance to make sure that everybody's building on Web 3. Please remember these 3 key points. Always think about your ownership, that your users owning the NFTs is about users owning the rights. If you put in a movie, put your character into a movie, it's the users who have the rights to the characters. It's immersive. No, this is where we say it has to talk, Can you imagine moving in Decentraland and still typing, ASW, type, or in your Oculus and say, hey, can somebody release a virtual keyboard? Yeah. Do that. Talk. So it has to be immersive. And then privacy is something that we really hammered in very well. So all our tech is built with privacy involved. So when we did a speaker identification, we actually decided if we are going to identify people by voice, we need to de-identify people by voice also. Means that we need to be able to let the person be able to scramble their voice that is no longer identifiable. And we will do this, like, even when we identify the voice, it's for you only. And that's why we came out with this idea also of those characters. So imagine one of the characters, your character, is kind of like your butler. You can communicate with you. He knows your shopping experiences. He knows what you like, what you don't like, but he's not telling the shops because he goes shop for you. And also that's the concept of Web3 privacy, that you are able to do all these things decentralized without all that data being held by 1, 2, 3 companies. So these are the 3 key fundamental things that I really want to emphasize. Everybody who's building on Web3, you could be a brand manager thinking like, let's build a metaverse, a miniverse, or a marketing campaign. Please talk with your agency or whatever, that these 3 fundamentals are observed and implemented. And the way forward, we are almost coming to the end. After all that we were doing, we need to arrive at an engaged audience, because a bored, it's not like the bored apes. The bored people do not come back. The bored people will wait forever, and you need to make it fun. So not just think about executing those tasks, running an event. If there is no freebies, there's no gift, there's no DJ, you need to make the event fun. And it needs to be immersive. Again, please use voice. Hello. And you need analytics, because then we can all build a better metaverse together. Is it the last? Yes. Then here comes my big reveal. This is the first time we actually talk to a public audience about our creator studio. What is a creator studio? We talk about characters are bringing. So how do we bring characters? Remember, Web3 is about getting users to do stuff and own stuff. Using users' NFTs, users' characters, let them generate, like when I laughed about like that Metaverse with pet NFTs. The user should be the one who comes to imagine there's a creator studio, comes to it, brings his pet NFT and says, now I want it to say these things. Actually, we do have a few early NFT owners who are helping us this process, so they will be the first one using it. One just wants angry. He just wants to send out angry things, like, arr, arr. No, so to each your own. That is Web3, to each your own. You create it yourself in your style, and you own it. And that's why we came up with Creator Studio. Instead of us making that content, you are going to be able to make that characters. And please follow us. Take up your phone, follow. All right, that was it. I hope you enjoyed the speech, and hope that to have questions from you.
Thank you, Nick.